and you are welcome to the Shabbat of this morning. We give the glory to the Almighty God, our King, for the opportunity that He has given to us to behold and to see today in the land of the living. We praise Him for this great love towards us individually and collectively. All right. So, and the most important thing I'd like to say, yes, we are still in the house. All right, online, praising God, exalting His holy name. We are still online, you know, for because our synagogue is still we're still doing a lot of renovation on this right in the synagogue. So please bear with us, and God will continue to bless you and sustain you. But the most important is that we'll soon be going back to the synagogue very, very soon. We're still online, and as we finish the renovation in the synagogue, we will resume back to the synagogue as soon as our government give us the go-ahead to start the religious service. And I just want to say that this morning, the parasha or a study that we're going to study this morning is known as Parasha Bo. Parasha Bo, that is what we're going to study this morning. Parasha is known as Tefillin. And what is this word Tefillin, or what is this what do you call it, this thing that is called Tefillin? What do we use this for? Or this symbol that is called Tefillin, what is it for? And how come the Torah uses a foreign word to quantify this word called Tefillin? And that we are going to see. We understand that the Sephardi and the Ashkenaz, they use Tefillin, but there is another sect, right, in our faith. There's another sect in Judaism that they don't use Tefillin at all, and that sect is called the Karaite. The Karaite sect, they don't use Tefillin at all. Why? Because they have their own interpretation of the Torah. They said that what is written in the Torah concerning Tefillin is a kind of an idiomatic expression, right? That it doesn't mean something that we can do. That we can create. So that is what they say according to the Karaite. But is that the way to interpret it, or is that not the way to interpret it? So as it is said that 2 Jews, 3 opinions. So we have different kind of opinion and different kinds of interpretation to it. But the most important thing that what we're going to discuss today is going to be Tefillin and Pesach. All right, we're going to discuss about that. If you ask any Israelite, right, any Israelite or audience, if you ask them to conjure up a mental image of a pious Jew, of a pious Israelite, in this case, the chances are that the vision will be of a bearded male guided with kippah or and large tallit. Chances are also good that he will be wearing a tefillin. The leather boxes contain 4 biblical passages, including the Shema, that are worn on the forehead and wrapped right around the arm. The first reference to this holy item is found in today's Torah portion, speaking about the miraculous liberation of the Israelite slave. The Torah recounts God's instruction to explain to your children on that day. It is because of what ADONAI did for me when I went free from Mizraim, from Egypt. That is Exodus chapter 13 verse 8. Each of us is to view this act of freedom as a personal gift from the creator of the entire multiverse directly to us. You see, it is a complete gift. It's a free gift, a gift of what? Of freedom. Freedom to think the way you want to think. Freedom for you to walk the way you want to walk. freedom for you to serve the Lord your God the way you want to serve the Lord your God, according to what is written in the Torah. So this tefillin, I want to go back to, right, is a fourth chamber that contains biblical messages, or that contain Torah texts, and including in those texts is Shema Israel, ADONAI Eloheinu, ADONAI Ehad. So we have that text also included in those four chambers. So we're going to see what are all these about. Immediately following the instruction, the Torah relates, and this shall serve you as a sign on your hand, and a reminder on your forehead, in order that the teaching of ADONAI may be in your mouth, that with a mighty hand ADONAI free us from Egypt. You shall keep this instruction at its set time from year to year. Exodus chapter 13, verse 9. This simple instruction of this verse doesn't sound like it's referring to Tefillin at all. Instead, it seems the Torah is instituting the observance of Pesach and instructing us that teaching our children about the miracles of Passover is to be a permanent part of the festival celebration. And this is exactly what the Karaite are talking about. This is exactly what the Karaite are what take hold on, because they said that it's nowhere in the Torah that God is saying that we should create tefillin itself. That by saying that you shall wear it at your arms, it shows that with a great arm, the arm of the Most High God, that is with a strong arm, the Lord deliver us from where? From Egypt. And by wearing it on our forehead is to show that that in our forehead is our knowledge, our wisdom, is our strength, is our being, right? It's a state of understanding. So that we should understand what the Lord our God is doing for us by rescuing us from the hands of the Egyptians. That is the way they interpret it. I mean, the Karaite. But other sects in Judaism, we do wear tefillin. We make it and we do wear it, and it is a very, very, very important symbol in our faith. And if you ask me myself, Rabbi, which one is which one? What do we choose? I will tell you, right, to be plain and to be simple. I will tell you, if you have the means to purchase a tefillin, purchase it, right? It is everything that is written there is about the Torah. It's about the commandment. It's about what God has commanded us. And if you doesn't want to use it, it is not a big deal, right? It is not do or die. No, the most important thing, as far as you keep the Torah, as far as you keep the way of justice, the way of mercy, the way of compassion, that to me is the most important thing. And that is what the Torah is teaching us, that the Torah is a tree of life, that we should take hold of it, right? That is the most important. It's not about who wears the tefillin and who does not wear the tefillin. But if we look at the Torah, right, the choice of word that the Torah used to introduce us to the most significant of all of our symbol, which is the tefillin, the Torah command the children of Israel to wear tefillin with an interesting expression. They shall be for totafo between your eyes. That is Exodus chapter 13, verse 16. The Talmud in Sanhedrin is concerned with the origin of the word totafo. What is this word? Because we know clearly that this word is not a Hebrew word in origin. Absolutely, it's not a Hebrew word. Where does this word come from? Why is Torah pointing to this word? Why did Torah use the word totafo when it is not a Hebrew word? Where did the Torah borrow this word from? Or what is Torah hinting about this word? The Talmud declared that totafo is a compound word. that combine two foreign words. The word tooth in Afriki, that is in Africa, means two, and the word pass in the Coptic language means two, and the Tefillin on the head has 4 compartments, which means 2 plus 2 is 4. That is what the Torah is telling us, and the Torah is giving us a hint here, right? So why should the Torah of all books, right, now introduce us to one of the most significant symbols of our faith using a foreign word, using a word that is not even from Hebrew language in origin. So we're going to see that very soon. So as I said, tooth in Afriki meaning two, and also path, which is Coptic in origin. The Talmud declared that totafo is a compound word, as I said. How baffling is this? The Tefillin on the head has 4 compartments. Thus, tooth pass or totafo meaning 4. How baffling is this? Why would the Torah use a compound of 2 very foreign words to describe an Israelite, to describe one of the great significance of a symbol? What is even more interesting is that just a few verses, period, to the Torah referring to the Tefillin boxes as a zakaron, that is what it said a few verses before, which means in Hebrew remembrance, between the eyes, Exodus chapter 13 verse 9. If the Torah called Tefillin a remembrance, then why does it refer to them as totafo? However, if they are totafo, then why call them remembrance? It is a hint to our origin. It is a hint that the Torah is telling us that we Israelites are from Africa. That what it's saying. It's giving us a hint. He's telling us that we sojourn in Africa, and it is time for Him, the Holy One, blessed be He, to take us home. This week, we also get the Passover names in Exodus chapter 12, verse 23. ADONAI will cross to kill the Egyptians, and we shed the blood, and we see the blood on the lintel and on the doorpost, and then ADONAI will Pesach that opening. That means ADONAI will pass over the opening and will not give the slaughterer the opportunity to come into your houses to slaughter. What is the meaning of Pesach? What is the meaning of Pesach? There are 2 possible meaning, or there's 2 possible understanding. One is God will have compassion, God will have mercy upon the Israelite and upon non-Israelite that obey the commandment of Moshe Rabbeinu. I make myself clear. What is the meaning of Pesach? And I said there are 2 possible interpretations of it. One is that God will have mercy, God will have compassion upon those that take hold of the Torah. Yes or no, Torah has not been given at that time. Yes, but I'm saying those who take hold of the word of the living God, those that do what? That obey God, those that fear the living God. God will have compassion and mercy upon them. You can see that in Rashi verse 13, if you know what I'm talking about. The other possible meaning is God will pass over. What is the meaning and of, and will not give? What is the meaning of that? God will not give the forces of destruction the opportunity to come into the houses of Israelites, into the houses of those that listen and take heed of the word of Moshe Rabbeinu. This is parallel to the usage of the passage about Laban in Genesis chapter 31 verse 7. And God did not give him the opportunity to deal evilly with me when Yaakov Avinu was telling his children. See, now we can see, one, the way our rabbis connected Laban and Egypt. And Aramean tried to destroy my father. We can understand this very, very well. Because the Egyptians were concerned about destroying the male alone. Remember? The Egyptians were concerned about destroying only the male, not the female. They will keep the female as slave or as their wives, right? Or they give them to whosoever they want, or they sell them to whosoever they want. But all the male will be killed. But in the case of Laban, it's a different case. In the case of Laban wants to destroy everything, both male and female. You can see that. Laban wants to be a virus from within. Laban wants to be a virus from within to eat Israelite from within, eat it from inside out. So that is the difference, because we can see that Laban is actually very, very wicked man. Secondly, that once the forces of destructions are put into motion, they have a life of their own. They have an intelligence of their own. Yes, they know no boundary. And it takes God's intervention to protect us. That is the second. The first, remember, as I said, the first one is that Laban was connected to Israel because he was a very wicked man. He wanted to destroy Israel from within, like a virus to eat us from within. But in the second interpretation is that once the forces of evil, the forces of darkness is unleashed, they have the understanding of their own, and they cannot be stopped. They know no boundary. They can do whatever they want to do. It takes only the intervention of the Holy One, blessed be He. It takes only the intervention of God for God to protect His own. You will then be able to confide to your children, right? You will then be able to confide to your children and your grandchildren how I did fearsome acts with Egyptians, and how I performed miraculous signs among them. You will then fully realize that I am ADONAI. Exodus chapter 10, verse 1 to 2. It took 10 plagues to teach Pharaoh a lesson, but the last 3 something as well. A lot of things. But this week, we will look at 2 lessons in particular. I wanted to quickly talk about a miracle. What is a miracle and what is magic? What is miracle and what is magic? Remember when Moshe came, right, to tell Pharaoh, let my people go. Here is the commandment of the God of the Hebrew. And he's saying, let my people go for them to serve me, to worship me, right? And Moshe said, who is this God? I do not know him. I don't care. Get up from my side. The first miracle, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, the sixth one, right? The Egyptians were able to replicate these kinds of what? Of miracles. Because they told Pharaoh, don't worry, the wise men of Egypt, the Egyptian necromancers, the Egyptians wise men, they were able to duplicate this kind of miracle, thereby making the heart of Pharaoh to harden. So who is this Moshe? He was a prince here. He was kicked out of the palace. You remember? He ran away to Midian. He went to go and learn magic, and he came back here to come and show us his magic. Don't worry. He's just a magic. He's just a boy. He's trying to make himself known. But they forgot that Moshe did not call himself. That actually Moshe is called by God, and this is the hand of God. In the seventh miracle, when they could not be able to duplicate it, they confessed and said, remember, this is no longer a joke. the servant of Pharaoh came and met him. Don't you know that Egypt is lost? Don't you know that everything is being destroyed? Why are you being hardened? You have to let the people go. Because they tried to duplicate that miracle, they couldn't. Because they know that they now realize and understand, no. This is no longer a magic, but this is a miracle. A magic is an illusion of the mind. Magic is an illusion. It's a way of manipulating your mind, to manipulate you to see what is not real. Because magic is not real, is what is fake. But miracle is real. Miracle is tangible. Miracle, you can feel it, you can see it with your two eyes. That is the difference between miracles and magic. Magic is an illusion of the mind. It's not real, it's fake. But both begins in the what? In the it took 10 plagues, as I said, it took 10 plagues to teach Pharaoh a lesson. But the last 3 of the plagues also taught us as an Israelite something as well. A lot of things. But this week we are going to look at 2 lessons in particular. Both begins in a midrash later taught us by the commentator Rashi. It was during the 9th plague, the plague of darkness, that Egyptians finally begin to understand the power, the awesome power of the God of the Hebrew. The darkness was palpable, so much so that the people were afraid even to do what? To move. They were literally paralyzed by fear. No one moved for 3 days. The Torah speaks and says that the darkness was tangible indeed. What does that mean? The word tangible indeed. That means that the darkness can be felt. It's not just the light went on, off, and that is it. No, they can feel it. You can feel that something is touching you. You can feel this, and that means the fear. The people actually were afraid to stand up because the terror of God fell upon them. This is what God is talking about, a real fear. This is not just that they are afraid to even step out, that in their mind they are thinking that if they make an inch of a step, the earth will open and they will fall inside right away. Such kind of a fear. Yet, as terrible as the plague was for the Egyptians, it was far worse for the Israelites. Let's call a spade, and let us be frank with ourselves. For the darkness that was created was part of a divine plan, according to Rashi, to conceal the death of 4 out of 5 of all the Israelites in Egypt. Why so? Or to put in more bluntly and to use a little bit of math, if 2 to 3 million Hebrews survived this plague and ultimately left Egypt, then during the plague of darkness 8 to 10 million Hebrews died, more than the one killed in the Ethiopian massacre of forced conversion, and also combined together with that of the Holocaust. What is Rashi is trying to give us understanding here? He's trying to tell us that, and why did they die? Why? It was a punishment from God. Explain the midrash. Because 4 out of 5 Israelites refused to leave Egypt. They were too comfortable. Because most of them did not even believe. Most of them were even anti-Moshe. We can hear in the Torah speaks as if they took stone to want to stone Moshe. Say, who sent you here? Why are you making our work even more difficult? Because the day you want to go and meet Pharaoh, the day he increase our work and make it even more difficult. Right? Why? We don't need you. Get out from here. And the Torah also said that, and the Egyptian make a tax master over them. Who are these tax masters? That is the question we should ask. Most of these tax masters are Israelites themselves too. That is the fact. We have to say the truth. We have to call a spade a spade. We have to take the bull by the horn. Most of these taskmasters are Israelite too, who the Egyptians were using to oppress their own fellow brothers, their own fellow sisters, their own fellow people, because they want to be recognized in Egypt. They want title, they want names, they want wealth over the suffering of their own people. Moshe relinquished everything. He was a prince in Egypt. He said, I will not take part in this. But we have some Israelites who took part in it. And most of our Midrash even talks about one who is a Levite. Right? We know about Korah, who is a brother or a cousin of Moshe. Because his wealth, he got all his wealth and his money from Israel, from Egypt. And his mind was to take them back to Egypt, where he can be a lord over them. Because in the desert, there is no lord. Right? It is written white and black in the Torah. So we need to understand. And also in the Second World War, we have people like that work together with what? With Hitler to fight against his own people. We have people like that in Ethiopia that work together with the kings, with the monarch to do what? To force convert their own people. And that is why we ran to Uganda, right? To the mountain to save ourselves, the better Israel. So we have to understand, we have internal enemies. Those of our own people that do what? That causes trouble for us. And that is why God himself deal with them. There are a lot of interpretation too. Many people say, oh, how about that is what Rashi said. Good. And that is also true. But what I'm saying also, there is also what is called justice here. That God is trying to do justice. He's giving us the way of righteousness, a way of justice. Some people will say, oh, are you saying that God will kill all the children, the innocent children, and so on and so forth? Why do we want to be holier than God? Why do we want to be holier than God? If we look at Pharaoh has a son, right? What did the son of Pharaoh did? He did nothing. What did he do? He did nothing wrong. But he faced the consequence of the action of his father. Right? The same thing here. So I want our people to understand that when we talk about Israel, there's a lot of things that our people want to say, oh, we are holier than thou. We are not holier than thou. Remember that God is love. God loved all his creation equally. I want us to understand that. God is love. And we cannot even fathom a drop of his love. His love is so deep that we cannot even understand. We can't even imagine the great love of the Holy One. Blessed be he. He loved his creation all the same. He has chosen us to be a people, to be the light bearer. That is it. To be the light bearer to the nations, so that the nation will see that God loves them through us. For us to show them the light, the way to the tree of life. That is it. There is nothing more than nothing more than that. The work of Israel is as a light bearer to the nation, to bring the nation back to the fold, to bring the nation, to lead all the nation back to the tree of life in the Garden of Eden. So don't let us be holier than thou. Don't let us be proud and be pompous. He said, oh, you know, I have the vein, or I have the blood of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob flowing through my vein. My DNA is the DNA of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and so therefore I can be proud. No. If you have the blood of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in your body, and you did not follow or do the Torah, you are not more than you are even less than an animal. That's what I want you to know. It doesn't matter if you have the blood of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But if you do not do what the Torah is saying, you are less than an animal. But if you are a Gentile, if you are a non-Israelite, and you follow the Torah, and you do what the Torah said, you are like the son of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That is what the Torah is saying. So therefore, I don't want us to be holier than thou. And said, oh, are you telling me that God killed all those children too? Of course. because of the actions of their fathers. The Torah said, in the day I destroyed the sons of Egypt, I took all the old sons of Israel as mine. And so therefore we have to redeem every first male. We have to redeem them, because on the day God dealt with the Egyptians, on that day he took all the old firstborn sons as his. So God is giving us a very great lesson here, that I am the God of the ends of the multiverse. All of you are equal before me. All of you are the same before me. If I come to save you, I am what God is doing. He's doing justice to do what? To lift the oppressed out of dungeon, because these people are being oppressed, has been killed for nothing that they did wrong. God is doing two things. God is having compassion, is having mercy upon the oppressed, upon the lowly, upon those that you think these are poor people. God is having compassion upon them and mercy upon them. And God is showing judgment upon the wealthy, the rich, the superpowers. And God is saying, I gave you all the power that you are using is mine. And so therefore, why are you using this power negatively? Why are you oppressing the poor for no reason? That is what God is doing. And God is doing judgment over them, so that the poor or the needy or the lowly will see that God is God, that his prayer, that their prayers is being answered by the Holy One. Blessed be he. Lesson number 2 is all about total assimilation. What do I mean by that? We can see that most of those Israelites that were assimilated in the society of Egypt, those people that feel comfortable seeing their brother and their sisters, seeing their own fellow Israelite, their own fellow Hebrews suffering, and they don't care because they are making money, they are making wealth, they have title, and they want to look good in the eyes of the Egyptians, right? They want to oppress their own people and rejoice and say, oh, look at them, I am not like them. You know, remember that the Torah said that the Egyptians despise Israel. Egyptians despise the Israelites. They don't want to even come near to them. So if you want to think about the tax master are Egyptian, no, the tax master are not Egyptians. The tax master are Israelites themselves. Because the Egyptians were so these advanced people, you know, educated people. You know, we cannot mingle or mix with these people that are shepherds, these people that stink, these people that smell. No. We don't mingle with them. We cannot mingle with them. We are different, you know. We are the elite. You know, this tax master who are the Israelites themselves too, some Hebrew, like Korah, you know, these are the people that God who completely assimilate themselves to the society of Egypt, and they see nothing wrong with what they are doing. Then that is a consequence, because we can see that most of Korah and his co-hosts in further line, we are going to see how God destroyed them and their children too. So this is what I'm saying, that God is a God of justice. God stands firm by his word. So we as a people, we have to rise up. We have a lot of Jews, you know, or Israelites, I would say, you know, in well placed in this world, in the 24th century, in Europe, in North Africa, in Africa, in North America, right? Especially, I would like to use the example of those in North America that would think that we are completely comfortable. Oh, God said, let us go back home. Say, no, that desert. No, I can't live in that desert. It's too hot down there. There is no snow there. Why should I go to that desert? I mean, with that desert with that tiny house. But here in North America, I have a huge house, huge business, huge money. I'm comfortable. Most of them are even abandoned their faith. Right? They say, no. I'm only Jew on paper. Right? I'm only an Israelite on paper, not in action, not in anything. I am neoliberal, you know. Most of them in high power, they even support negative things, evil things. And you wonder, are these people really an Israelite? So it's a question that I am throwing out there for us to think. Before the 10th and the final plague, the death of the firstborn, God told Moses to tell the Israelites to take the blood of the Paschal lamb and smear it on the doorway of their houses, of their homes. Why? As a protection from the plague. But where exactly should they smear the blood? According to Hollywood, you know, well, we know there is a movie that called the Ten Commandments, right? According to Hollywood, I want to say, the blood is to be what? Is to be smeared on the outside, right, of the house. But according to our rabbis, it is to be smeared on the inside. And what is the proof? You might ask me, Rabbi, how do you know that? What is the proof that we have to smell the blood or put the blood on the inside, not on the outside? It is a verse in this week Torah portion that said, the blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are staying, which is Exodus chapter 12 verse 13. Not a sign for anybody else, but for you. Not a sign for the Hollywood, for anyone outside. No. It is not a sign inside the house where you live, that you may know that I am the Lord who saved you. It is a sign for us, not for anyone outside. I'm sorry, Hollywood, you make a terrible job. I'm sorry. You see, you make a completely terrible job. It's not a sign for those people outside. No, but these people inside, for them to see that the Lord is with us. What is the connection between these two lessons? Simply, the Pesach offering is the first ordinance bestowed upon the entire community of Israel by God Himself. We can trace our birth as a nation back to the dark, forbidden night. We can trace our birth as a nation back to that dark, forbidden night, our very last in Egypt. The next morning, Israel as a nation will step out into the stage of war history. While the 10th plague befell the Egyptians, decimating her population, Israelite passed from that winters of bondage to the springtime of nationhood and to the freedom of God and His Torah. We are a nation born in slavery, a sobering fact that places our subsequent achievement into the correct perspective of humility is a lesson for us. Just like our teacher Moshe Rabbeinu was the most humble man. So that is why God is telling us that we have to be humble. It is not by our power that we left Egypt. No. It is not because we are righteous. No. It is not because we are the most large, the biggest population in the world. No. It is not because we are the strongest people in the world. No. It is not because we are the most handsome and the most beautiful people in the world. No. It's not because we are the most tallest people in the world. No. But because of the mercy and the compassion of our God. Because He remembered the promise He promised His friend Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob, to rescue us from our bondage. So this day, what I'm telling us all is for us to be humble. Let us learn to humble ourselves before the Lord our God. Not to be proud, holier than thou. You know, I know that the Torah can be interpreted in 70 different ways. And I know also that 2 Jews, 3 opinions. But for us to want to interpret the Torah to favor our 21st century neoliberal understanding, please, let it be far away from that. Please, I beg us, those of us that thinks ourselves as a leader, those of us that thinks ourselves as a rabbi, those of us that thinks ourselves as the teacher of the Torah, please, the Torah is fact. We cannot say, oh, you know, God cannot kill this. Who are you to say God cannot do this? It is also in our faith. You cannot say God cannot do. The day you say God cannot do this is the day you reduce God into a manette. It's the day you reduce God into an idol that you can control and put in your pocket. No. The master of the universe can do whatever he wants to do. He is God. He doesn't need you. He doesn't need your authority. He doesn't need my authority. He doesn't need for you to approve it. No. He is God. So my message to our leaders is that we have to humble ourselves. Don't let us behave like the Egyptians. God said, remember that you are a slave in Egypt, and when you see a foreigner, and when you see a poor man, and when you see the widow, and when you see the weak people, you have to raise them up. You have to help them. You have to defend the weak, because we were stranger in Egypt, because we can feel the way they are feeling, because we understand the situation, because we are once like that. That is the main purpose of the slavery, for us to be able to think within ourselves. If I have power, if I have authority, if I have every other authority over another person that is weak, will I use that power positively or negatively? That is what our God is, and He's telling us that any power that we have, it is not ours, but is given to us from above. That the Holy One, blessed be He, is the one that bestows power upon man. And so therefore we have to use our authority and our power in the positive sense, not in the negative sense. More than anything else, ADONAI did. No army, no tanks, no missiles, just the Creator and the Master of all. Just as our ancestors longed for freedom from Egypt, from the Egyptian bondage, we also long for the true freedom. True freedom is not the negation of subjugation and slavery. No. In whatsoever form it will manifest itself in our world of 21st century, but the willing acceptance of a higher discipline. We were redeemed for a purpose, to serve ADONAI and to keep His Torah. ADONAI released us from subjugation by an earthly master in order to prove our worth as the chosen people prepared to serve Him. Thus, in truth, there is no absolute freedom, only a choice of masters. We can serve ADONAI and be free, or else serve man and be enslaved. You have a choice. Everything that God, the Holy One, blessed be He, has done is all about a choice. He gave our forefather Adam a choice. Do not eat of the tree. The day you eat, the day you die. It's a choice. And he did what it best seems, and he faced the consequence of his action. Even though in the plague of the death of the first son, a lot of Israelite children also died. Those Israelites that refused to obey Moshe. Those Israelites that thought, oh, this man is just a dog that just makes noise. Forget about him. Nothing will happen. Those people that are taskmaster over their own people, their sons died too, because they refused to obey. The instruction has been given. The instruction has been given. You have a choice to obey or not to obey. If you obey, you reap the blessing, and if you disobey, you face the consequence. The instruction in the Torah is given us. It's not only for the Israelites, but for all mankind. It's a choice. If you want to obey the Torah, or you say, you know what, I don't care, this is for a set of people. This is one, it's not for me. But when the time comes, you will know who is who. But my point is, please, before it is too late, let's take hold of the tree of life. Let's take hold of the Torah. There is no absolute freedom. No. Because the enemies wants to tell you that it's an absolute freedom. I've been telling us every time there is nothing like that. It's a false teaching. When somebody come and tell you about absolute freedom, it is a complete false teaching. But God is telling us we have a choice to choose Him and be free indeed, true freedom, or we face the consequence of our actions. God has given us instruction, and just to follow it. And that instruction, the Torah, will lead us to the Garden of Eden, our home. It will lead us back to the tree of life, where we can eat of the tree of life and live forever. Remember, the Torah is a water of life, is a tree of life. God can lead us to the water of life, but God will not force us to drink of the water of life. We have a choice. We are saying, yes, I want to drink of the water of life and live. Or you can say, oh, I don't care, I follow the people of the world. The Parshas of this morning, Parshas Bo, come to Pharaoh. Many people interpret it as go to Pharaoh. The Torah talk about come to Pharaoh. Why is God saying come? Because God himself is already in Egypt. God is already in the palace waiting for Moshe to join him. Come to Pharaoh and speak to him. Let him hear the word of life. But Pharaoh took another choice. Pharaoh has a choice for life, but he said he's not interested in life. And sorry, we can see the end of Pharaoh and his people. So therefore, my people, please let us choose life. And let us choose life indeed. Parashah Bo. May God bless you. May God sustain you. May you have peace. Shalom.